Hey everybody, Ryan Gromfin here with The Restaurant Boss, coming to you live from just outside Austin at the world headquarters of The Restaurant Boss. It is February 24th in the afternoon. Today is a Friday, and I'm putting together the finishing touches. I'm polishing up a presentation I'm going to be delivering called the 9 Restaurant Accelerators in a couple of weeks with a group of people online. And as I'm going through that, I'm putting in the slide there on something I don't quite have a name for yet, but I want to tell you about that is really the foundation of everything that I teach. It's about systems, but what it is about is how we move through this thing called the Cashflow Quadrant. Now, if you remember 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, there's a very popular book by an author named Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Very popular book, fantastic book. If you haven't read it, read it. The follow-up book to that is a book called Cashflow Quadrant. And what's really cool about the Cashflow Quadrant, like that book with the book called The E-Myth really set the stage for me kind of transforming my brain and how I thought about business. And then now how I consult. These are really foundational, transformational books. And in the Cashflow Quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki talks a lot about this 4 thing. We're going to put it up on the board here, but employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And so what really happens here is you may be a little frustrated in your job. And so you say, I want to go open up my own restaurant. You want to make more money, you want more freedom, you want more security, you want to have more ability to design and to work on your own. So you say, I want to go open up a restaurant, and you sign a lease, you get some investors, you borrow some money, you do what you got to do to get your restaurant open. And now you are a business owner, right? You tell all your friends that you're a business owner, a restaurant owner. When people come in, you say you're the owner, but are you a business owner? See, that's the question that a lot of us have to ask ourselves. According to what Robert Kiyosaki wrote, and what I agree with, is really you're self-employed. See, if we look at an employee, you have a job. If we look at self-employed, you own a job. If we look at a business owner, you own a system and people work for you. When we look at an investor, now money works for you. So going back to this sort of self-employed spot, see, when you open up your small restaurant, your first restaurant, you are doing all of the jobs that you were doing as an employee most of the time, and you're doing all of these new jobs as a business owner. So really, you own your job. You own your job. You're doing the work you were doing before, but instead of someone else dealing with all of the headaches, you're dealing with the headaches. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the natural progression in business. I don't want anyone to say like, oh no, you're wrong, Ryan, or that's not true. I'm just stating a fact. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. We have to go through this phase. We have to go from being an employee, that's fine, to being a small business owner, usually a self-employed business owner, well, self-employed, not business owner, to being a business owner. The way we make that transition is systems, processes, and procedures, where now you're not needed in as much of a day-to-day role. You can work, right? We've heard the expression, work on your business instead of in your business. And then eventually we move down to investor, where now maybe you own multiple businesses, or you have lots of locations with lots of systems and lots of people who are doing this work for you, and now your money is working for you. You're able to invest in property, you're able to invest in other businesses, you're able to invest in stocks and bonds and whatever it is. And so the hardest part is making that move from where most of us are in the restaurant business to, even if you have 2 or 3 locations, most of us are in that self-employed phase where you own your job. And we're trying to get to that business owner phase. And like I said, systems is how we do that. And I have videos all over my website about how to build systems. That's not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is to get you thinking a little bit differently. And the best way that I can do this for you is I want to tell you a story. It's actually in my book. I've changed the names to protect the innocent in this story, but I'm working with a woman who is a James Beard Award-winning chef in India. Her restaurant was absolutely gorgeous. Her food, beautiful. And we worked together for a few months. And then one day she's like, Ryan, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. None of my team members are capable of doing the work I need them to do. If I'm not here, the restaurant doesn't function. And I'm like, that's what we're working on. We're starting to build these systems. She said, no, Ryan, you don't get it. It's different here. I need to sell the restaurant. And I said, okay, but I have a question for you. I said, you told me that your team members won't do the work that you're asking them to do. She's like, that's right. I said, and you told me earlier that you're the only person in the world that can do this, that no one else in the world can cook the food that you're cooking. She said, in so many words, that's right. I said, then who the blank are you going to sell your restaurant to? Fill in the word that I used there. And she was like, I'm paying you to consult me, and you can't talk to me that way. But I was like, no, seriously, like, who are you going to sell your restaurant to? If you're the only person in the world that can do this work, if no one else in the world can do what you do, then who's a buyer? And that's when she realized that she didn't own a business, she owned a job. Because in many ways, she might be right. The type of food that she was cooking, in the area that she was cooking it in, I don't know who else. I mean, there's obviously chefs that can do it. But again, now we start thinking about, well, then who's going to buy your restaurant? Well, probably another chef, like another James Beard qualified chef. Well, if the only person that can afford to buy your restaurant is a James Beard chef, what are the chances that they either have the money or want to buy your restaurant? Because if they have the money to buy your restaurant, they're probably so creative they're going to do their own. And if they're super creative and super good but don't have the money to buy your restaurant, well, then you got nothing. Then you can't sell it. There's no buyer. Because the traditional business owner or the lawyer or the doctor or the attorney or someone that might have the money that your business is worth isn't an operator. They're an investor. So they don't want to buy a job, they want to buy a business. So what I want you to think about right now is asking yourself the question of, if you were to sell today, who could you sell to? If you can only sell to another restaurant operator, then you don't own a business. You own a job. If you could sell to a doctor, if you could sell to a lawyer, if you could sell to an attorney, a lawyer, if you could sell to just a business investor, if you could sell to a venture capital firm, if you could sell to any Joe on the street who can afford to buy your restaurant and they don't need to know anything about the restaurant business, then you own a business. See, that's the difference right there. When you can answer that question, then you are no longer self-employed. You now own a business. So I hope today's video is helpful for you. Again, check out all of our stuff. Grab a free copy of our book. We've got hundreds of videos on our website to help you with building systems and processes and procedures all over the place. Take a look at your email box in the next couple weeks for when we do this training. So you'll get more insight in that training if you want to get more help. But we're here to help you out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. And remember, systems create freedom. Freedom creates value. Value creates scale. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. And I love every single one of you crazy restaurant people. Bye-bye. Make It Happen is the book I wish I had when I was operating restaurants. Inside are the lessons that took me 10 years to learn and 10 more years of teaching to perfect. I've condensed the most important lessons into this tiny book for building a big restaurant business. I am on a mission to improve restaurants all over the world. Because of that, I want to send you a free copy. Grab yours today at therestaurantboss.com.